A very warm welcome to you as you join us on today's episode of Tax Matters. My name is Olumuyiwa Matuluko. Today on Tax Matters, we have a full house, a house full of guests, members of the University of Lagos Tax Club. And we'll be talking to them about several things, majorly revolving around taxation, which is our forte, and then of course, why the Tax Club, what they are about, what do they do as members of the Tax Club, and then we can move on into other matters. Perhaps the best way to start is to ask them to introduce themselves. We'll begin from our left. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Oyini Emmanuel.
Abani Wanda Joy.
I'm Yolu Aifelua.
I'm Awo Olamide.
Mutolani Udele.
Now, Mr. Ani Emmanuel, what do you study at the University of Lagos?
I'm a student of law.
What about you?
Law student.
I'm a law student also.
Also a law student.
A student.
Oh, is it only lawyers that you admit into the Tax Club?
No, sir.
Okay, but we hope we are safe. We are all lawyers in the making.
Yes.
Okay, so how did you come about the Tax Club? Are you one of the founders or the founder, or are you a joiner? When did this start?
The Tax Club started in 2007, and so we are joiners, as you said.
Mm-hmm. So why was it formed? Were you told? What attracted you to the Tax Club?
Basically, the Tax Club serves as a platform on which students get to interact with tax policymakers, tax administrators, and tax practitioners.
Mm-hmm.
It gives us, while we are still students of taxation, it gives us a step ahead. It gives us a glimpse, we could say that, a glimpse into the workings of the professional tax world, things like that. So that's why the club was formed.
It is domiciled in the Faculty of Law.
Yes, you could. That's where it started from. It started from the Faculty of Law, but we've extended into the Faculty of Accounting, so into the Department of Accounting, and other departments. As a matter of fact, we have some members from the Faculty of Education, so it's open to everybody.
Okay. So you have members who are not law students.
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic. Let me ask you, when did you join the Tax Club?
I joined when I was in my third year.
Okay.
300 level.
You are in final year now.
Yes. Sir.
So what have you gained?
Well, based on when I did tax, because I joined when I wanted to do tax, when I started taking tax as a course, and based on due to the meetings that we had and programs that we had, inviting tax officials to come and enlighten us on tax matters, it helped in doing tax law as a course, and it has widened my understanding on tax system in Nigeria generally. Who
or what attracted you to the Tax Club? I mean, why did you join?
Okay, first, our lecturer encouraged us to join the Tax Club because it gave us an insight on the course itself generally. And then, at first we had problems understanding tax itself because it was really complicated. We saw it as unfair and stuff like that. So he encouraged us, and that was what brought me to Tax Club. And since then, I can say it has really been a wonderful journey, learning new things about tax.
That reminds me of a friend of mine who I actually became friends with him because of this program, and he went to do LLM at Ahmadu Bello University, and somebody was encouraging them to take to specialize in tax, and he said the impression they had was that it was about mathematics and all that, and he was scared, and the man said, come along to the class for about 2 weeks. If you don't like it, you can go. So I asked you, has it been worth your while?
Yes, it does. That really helped me. Like, I joined Tax Club like last year, and since then that helped me because I'm doing tax right now. I've learned a lot, and when I read the articles and materials from those summits and everything, that really helped me, even academically and everything.
It's not mathematics.
No. It's only the calculations, schedules and stuff about tax relief or something.
But it was not as bad as you thought.
Yes.
You are enjoying it.
Yes.
So you are also a member. Do all law students have to take a course in taxation? Is it compulsory?
No.
It's not compulsory.
Okay, why did you decide?
Well, for me, I decided to take tax as a course because of my accounting background. I started off studying accounting as a student of Institute of Chartered Accountant. And so at my 300 level, or right from the beginning, I'd been encouraged from home that just take courses along the, the civil line courses, that's CIL courses, and then commercial law courses, so that you'll be able to strengthen your knowledge and better understand matters relating to commercial transactions. So I took taxation as a course, and it has been very interesting. The lecturer, the club has also helped my knowledge, and gradually, and I think for every person, for every law student, should take tax, because it's a gray area. It's an area that has been left dormant for a while because of several issues that we're all aware about, that Nigeria, the sources of our revenue are from different sources, but taxation is a viable source, but it has been abandoned for quite a while.
Yeah, but I asked you, and I ask you again, look at tax or taxation or tax matters, that field. What exactly is the business of a lawyer in tax matters?
Well, taxation is divided into three: the policy, the law, and then the administration. And so policymakers have the policy that they want to put into the law and then to administer. So the business of a lawyer is to formulate the laws based on the policies that the nation or the policymakers, and then to also enforce, and then if according to their capacity, either as a lawyer or as a judge, will probably interpret. As a judge, you interpret the provisions of the law, and then as a lawyer, you vigorously take studious time to look at the letters of the law, and then bring about amendments, or you bring about vigorous enforcement of taxation as a law.
Okay, Mr. Emmanuel, you are the current president of the University of Lagos Tax Club. If I want to join, if I'm in the Faculty of Education or the Faculty of Business Administration, what does it take, to join your club?
Frankly, all it takes is just an interest in tax, and then you get the form, and then I remember, that's all. And then you attend our meetings, and you go with us on the excursions we have. And basically, the most important thing is that you have the interest, and you get the form.
So what kind of activities do you engage in?
The tax club has a number of activities. We have meetings every 2 weeks. We meet fortnightly on the faculty. Then we organize conferences every year. We're on the 5th edition now. It's holding in May. That's this month. Then we also...
Which conference is that?
The Tax Club Annual Conference. And
the Annual Tax Conference of the CITN?
No, of the Tax Club.
Of the Tax Club. You have your own conference?
Every year, yes.
Ah.
At the University of Lagos. We're on the 5th edition now.
Okay.
Yes.
So
we invite policy people, we invite people from LIRS. And thankfully, the LIRS has always sponsored, CITN has always sponsored. And so professionals come and talk to students about contemporary tax issues. And so we have that every year. And then this year, the theme of our conference is on the feasibility of environmental taxation. Because
environmental taxation
in Nigeria. So we try to be a step ahead of the system to discuss things that haven't been touched yet by legislators. And then also during the holidays, we provide internship internship placements for students in firms that are tax related. And so we do that. For example,
you're able to do that?
Yes,
for our members.
Yes, we do that. During the last holiday, we provided 6 slots for our members. They were in 3 different firms. The holiday before that, there was quite a number, and the LIRS has also been very helpful. They take our students on their activities when they go out to check records. They train people and things like that. We go along with them, so we understand how we...
Oh, you are already experiencing the practicality.
Exactly, the club gives us, as students, a glimpse into the practical workings of the system, even before we get there. And so we know what to avoid, and we know the things.
That's interesting. So you go with them on enforcement exercises?
Yes, although we don't show our faces, but...
Oh, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. What's your assessment of the Nigerian tax system?
I think the Nigerian tax system has a long way to go, especially in the court system. We don't have court cases in relation to tax. Tax issues do not go beyond the normal level of paying off your tax. People that are aggrieved by the tax decisions do not know where to go. I think the Nigerian tax system has a long way to go. We have tried in certain areas, but when it comes to enforcement, court issues, taking your tax matters to court, I think we have a long way to go, and so we can step up in that area.
Where do you have to go to court? Because I know for a fact, correct me if I'm wrong, that every piece of tax legislation has its own dispute resolution mechanism. I mean, if you are aggrieved with an assessment, for example, okay, now we are practicing self-assessment, but even in those days of government assessment, if you are aggrieved, you took the matter up with the relevant authorities in there, and then from there you can still appeal to the top. There is what they call technical committee, of the board, and then of course in those days there used to be the body of appeal commissioners. There was the VAT tribunal. Now we have the tax appeal tribunal. When people say we don't see cases in court, must we go to court? What point are you really making?
I think there should be a better mechanism, like the ombudsman, for instance, to stand in the gap, because of these issues we have tax appeal tribunals now in 8 zones. People don't see they can't. It's very inconvenient for people to go all that way when they are aggrieved.
I'm saying that maybe it's because people have had their issues addressed at the other levels. That's why you're not seeing those cases in court.
Most people don't have the ombudsman, for instance, when it comes to tax issues. So sometimes people just walk away. I think that is the reason why we don't have tax issues at court, because people just walk away, they leave it as it is, and they rather just do what they have to do, pay what they have to pay, rather than sort anything in court. So I think we can introduce the ombudsman like in other countries. That way people can go there to for their disputes to be resolved, instead of having to think about the inconvenience of going to tax appeal tribunals and all that.
We have an argument here, right? I'm saying that maybe because people have successfully had issues bothering them resolved at the different levels, ombudsman or no ombudsman, is about bringing your grievances to the table, and the tax authorities also addressing the issues, And so my own argument is that maybe cases are not getting to court because cases are resolved amicably. She is saying no. Where do you stand?
The question is the taxpayer aware that, I can actually appeal? Do they know?
I think they know.
Really? Because I wasn't aware, and when I spoke to a couple of people, and then they're like, okay, really, did they do that? They believe the tax authority and the tax, exactly, they believe they're like they're the Lord, and then, okay, this is final, this is what the government is saying, I have to take it as it is. Yes.
There's something going on here. Yes. I think we have to talk to the taxmen. They are saying here that people consider you to be the Lord and Master, that what you say is law, that they don't have avenues for redress. But I'm speaking on your behalf to say there are avenues for redress, especially after the internal mechanisms. We have the tax appeal tribunal. Maybe we have a lot of work to do in the area of publicity. We'll leave it at that.
So there is nothing you can do. I can't believe this. Last year I let it go. This year my tax assessment is even worse. They keep doing this because they know there is no one we can complain to.
But there is.
Really?
Yes. You can go to the Tax Appeal Tribunal.
Tax Appeal Tribunal?
Yes.
The Tax Appeal Tribunal is established to resolve all tax disputes between taxpayers and the Revenue Authority. So when your tax disputes are not resolved to your satisfaction, the Tax Appeal Tribunal is there to help. You can visit any of our offices nationwide or call us on 0987-61170 or email info@tat.gov.ng for support. Tax Appeal Tribunal, building confidence in Nigeria's tax system.
Now, let's move into taxation proper. There's the rave of the moment now, for want of a better phrase, the Personal Income Tax Amendment Act. Because what I always tell people, I even tell them at the Federal Revenue Service, that if I get 10 calls in reaction to any episode of the program, 8 will be on personal income tax. And that's because that is what concerns the pocket of everybody. So there's this new Amendment Act. Have you had cause to look at the Amendment Act vis-a-vis the Principal Act? If you have, what, in brief, would you consider as the highlights? That is, assuming that the Principal Act had problems, in what ways has the Amendment Act addressed those burdens, those problems? Let's start from Madam.
Okay, the temporary and contract staff that work with private individuals have been included into the payroll, so it makes work easier. Like, you can withhold more tax, and then you remit it to the government. And also the Tax Appeal Tribunal, they've abrogated the body of appeal commissioners and just replaced it with the Tax Appeal Commissioner and
Appeal
Tribunal. So any issue related to tax, you can go ahead to appeal. I learned that there are 8 zones. There are 8 zones in the country. So anyone who is aggrieved can just go to the Tax Appeal Tribunals.
About the Amendment Act is the fact that the tax clearance certificate is needed for change of vehicles, application for land registration. I think that's a welcome development. Another is the consolidated relief allowance. In the PITA itself, the Personal Income Tax Act itself,
The Principal Act.
the Principal Act itself, the reliefs granted to taxpayers, so that if you can claim for personal allowance, which was 5,000 naira plus 20% of your gross income. But with this Amendment Act now, everyone is entitled to 200,000 naira, subject to a minimum of 1%, whichever is higher, plus 20% of your gross income. So that if the meaning of the 200,000 subject to 1% means if 1% of your income is more than 200,000 naira, you are entitled to take what your 1% is. For instance, if your income is 30 million, your 1% will be 300,000 naira, meaning you're entitled to 300,000 naira plus your 20% of your gross income.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, waiting with this.
The deduction now for withholding tax.
Withholding guinea. Look, if you not pay me my correct money today, hey, Munu get made you half for.
But madam, should be your company paying income tax.
Yes, that one I enough load for me to carry. Why in I won't come add join them again?
You see, withholding tax now advance payment for income tax. So when you do some kind job like contract, we go remove small from them when we won't pay you.
And when I go contract, I'm no. I bet tell me another.
No. We must pay the money to FIRS within 30 days, and they will give us withholding tax credit note to take show say you don't pay part of your income tax in advance.
So
now to help make the money where you go pay at the end of the year small.
So this withholding tax one, it be like part payment of no.
Exactly, madam.
I beg you. Give me my check.
Remember, come collect your credit note.
Withholding tax, now for we own good. FIRS, it pays to pay your tax.
Welcome back. The program is still Tax Matters. Before we went on break, we were having a chat with members of the University of Lagos Tax Club. Yes, Tax Club. And the president is Mr. Niyi Emmanuel, to my immediate left, Joy Abanewanda, Ifeoluwa Anyoluwa, Olamide Amao, and Motolani Oyedele. We were talking about that is before we went on break once again, we were talking about the reliefs, using that in a broad sense now, that have come the way of the taxpayer, the personal income taxpayer, arising from the Personal Income Tax Amendment Bill 2011, which amended the Principal Personal Income Tax Act. We'll start from you, Mr. Emmanuel. What are those things that you have noticed or that you have seen in the amendment law that have sought to give relief? When we talk about relief now, maybe relief from pay to the taxpayer.
For me, the first one, and is the high point, is the fact that the president now pays his tax. It's
the president, the vice president, the state governors, and the deputy governors.
Exactly. So that's a high point. And to me, I think that's the highest point of this amendment.
Okay.
Because the president can now see that he's the #1 citizen. He's no longer the official
President Jonathan.
Exactly. So he's
Thumbs
a
up.
citizen and he has a responsibility.
Okay.
The second one I noticed was the consolidated revenue allowance. The intention of the lawmaker was to consolidate all the reliefs that were under the Principal Act. And from what we see now, they've brought it to 200,000 plus 20% of your gross income. However, there are some issues we noticed when we compared both acts together. In section 33 of the Principal Act, there was an allowance allowed for alimony, 2,500 for unmarried children, as independent people who are depending on the taxpayer. He was allowed to remove 2,500, provided that they were to the maximum number of four dependents, and then 7.5 pension fund allowance, something like that. And the fourth one I don't remember now. But under this new act now, the intention was to consolidate. But however, we find out that that provision for the dependents, alimony, and the children was just renumbered. It wasn't removed. Yes, it wasn't removed. And so we find out that that's an issue there. So we have the consolidated revenue allowance, relief allowance, on one side, and then you have those
old allowances still listed.
Still there, exactly.
Okay.
And I'm of the opinion that from the spirit of the act, you find out that they wanted to consolidate, but it wasn't consolidated. So there's an issue there, and we hope that the tax authorities see that.
Yeah, we hope the tax authorities and the lawmakers will take note of that. So even though the reliefs and the allowances have been consolidated, they have not expunged the old provisions from the act. They just renumbered them. That must be an oversight. But I know that they're listening. Yeah. Okay. So what other things have you noticed?
And the other my colleague will take.
Okay. Motolani, any other thing that you have noticed that has made you happier with the personal income tax law arising from this amendment act?
I'm very pleased with the issue of penalties for default.
Okay.
In the Principal Act, the penalty was 5,000 for corporate bodies and 500 for individuals, which is very, very laughable, because 5,000, any corporate company can afford to lose 5,000. But now the Amendment Act has introduced 500,000 for companies and 50,000 for individuals. So that is a very welcome.
It's enough deterrent.
Yes.
Okay.
And so it stops the issue of people deciding to pay their fines and while they are evading their tax. But now people will rather pay their tax than pay fines.
Okay. So you're happy with the penalties?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I just touch on some other additions?
Please go ahead.
And it's the taxpayer now has a face, or I won't say he now has. He has his presence has been. How do I put it now? Okay, the presence of the taxpayer has been increased before the face of the tax authority, in the sense that with the introduction of the tax identification number,
TIN,
TIN, exactly. And then the TIN, and you have the tax clearance certificate too. That's the TCC. Both systems working together, you find out that there's less room for evasion by the taxpayer, especially for personal income. In the sense that, for example, the TCC is attached as a condition for certain transactions. For example, you want to buy land,
like she was saying.
Exactly, you want to do
change of ownership for car, registration of vehicles.
Good. So you must present all of that, and then with your tax identification number, together with the banks and the entire system working together, you find out that the leeway for evasion has been closed down.
Good.
And so that's actually a major
Is that good for the system?
It's very good for the system. Has been achieved by these amendments, and we thank them for that.
I want to wish your club the best of luck. We commend your efforts, and we want you to spread the net, as it were, to bring in more members. And we're happy that you will be ambassadors of the tax authorities in the very near future. Motola, I want to thank you for coming. Olamide, Ifeoluwa, Joy, and Mr. Amanda, thank you for coming.